All right, y'all. So I got a lot of Trump news to catch you up on. A lot of Trump news to catch you up on. So last night, this big news comes in. This is from the Washington Post. New federal indictments filed against Trump in federal January 6th case. The superseding indictment brought by special counsel Jack Smith follows a historic Supreme Court ruling granting broad immunity to presidents for official acts. So I'm going to walk you through this here. The basic breakdown is he needed to refile with the superseding indictment, and he needed to drop the portions of the case that he knew for sure that the Supreme Court would say, oh, that falls under an official act, so you can't charge Trump for that, okay? And I think there were some co-conspirators who they had to drop as well. Here we go. So they say, special counsel Jack Smith filed a new indictment of Donald Trump in the case involving an alleged conspiracy to obstruct the results of the 2020 election, a move that follows a historic Supreme Court ruling granting broad immunity to presidents for official acts, and comes just before an election period window was about to close on filing such charges. In about 10 days, a Justice Department policy known as the 60-day rule will take effect, forestalling any new filing of charges against the former president, who is again the Republican nominee for the White House. In a written notice to the court, Smith said the indictment was filed by a new grand jury that had not previously heard evidence in this case, and that it reflects the government's efforts to respect and implement the Supreme Court's holdings and remand instructions. Now, by the way, let me just say, I do not respect their ruling. I don't respect their ruling. I think it's one of the dumbest fucking rulings I've ever seen in my life. Now, having said that, he doesn't have much of a choice. He has to abide by their ruling, and he has to present the case as they wish, right? Because it would just get slapped down instantly if he proceeded with the way the case should be, according to any reasonable person. Smith said he will not seek to have Trump arraigned again on the new version of the 4-count indictment, and still expects to make a joint proposal later this week about how to schedule a new set of pretrial hearings. The original 45-page indictment has been reduced to 36 pages, so he dropped 9 pages, after prosecutors removed a series of allegations that the Supreme Court's conservative majority said were wrongly filed. Specifically, those allegations related to an effort by Trump in late 2020 to make the Justice Department support his false claims of potential voter fraud. That means Trump is no longer charged with trying to force his Justice Department to conduct sham election fraud investigations and to urge state legislators to meet and choose fraudulent electors over the legitimate ones. The Supreme Court ruled that interactions between a president and his Justice Department would be considered an official presidential act that is immune from prosecution. I need you to stop and think about how absurd this is. According to the Supreme Court, as long as Trump is talking to one of his direct underlings, then anything is fair game. Anything is fair game. So he said to Bill Barr, the head of the Department of Justice, I need you to pressure the states to take our fraudulent elector slates and reject the real elector slates. And I need you to release a statement saying, hey, there's a lot of fire here. We see a lot of smoke, but there's also a lot of fire when it comes to these election fraud allegations. Things are not adding up. He was instructing his Department of Justice to commit fraud, to lie, to try to keep himself in power. And according to the Supreme Court, since Bill Barr is technically under Donald Trump in the hierarchy, anything he says to him is protected because it's an official act. Think about how insane that is, bro. By the way, guys, this is why Bill Barr resigned. Because Bill Barr is sort of like a Mike Pence type Republican, where he's wrong on all the policy stuff, but he refused to just overthrow the correct result of a democratic election. So I'm sure even Bill Barr, has some feelings over this, where he's like, no, I think he was instructing me to commit a crime, and I think that shouldn't be allowed. But according to the Supreme Court's idiotic immunity ruling, they gave massive overreaching immunity. Okay. So now let me give you some more. The removal of those allegations also means the indictment no longer accuses someone identified in the original document only as co-conspirator number 4, but who people familiar with the case have said is former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark. Those people spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss parts of the investigation that had not been made public. Clark's removal from the case means that instead of 6 uncharged co-conspirators in the indictment, there are now 5, most of them lawyers who advised Trump on his efforts to undo the results of the 2020 presidential election. The indictment is tailored to the Supreme Court's criticism of Smith's approach and their conclusion that a president or former president cannot be charged for official acts. The court also ruled that evidence of official acts, for the most part, cannot be used against a former president in a criminal trial. All right, so let me explain to you what wouldn't be protected okay, under this immunity ruling. So, and this is a direct example that Roberts gave, and Roberts was wrong about almost everything, but this is a direct example where he said this could be a crime, right? Trump reaching out to the individual states, to the states and saying, hey, like the Georgia call, find me 11,780 votes or whatever the exact number was. Or reaching out to the state of Arizona and trying to twist their arm to declare him the victor. According to Roberts, he says, look, at the state level, those people are not direct underlings of Trump, right? They don't work for Trump. They work for the people of Arizona in that case and the people of Georgia in the other case. And in that instance, you can theoretically have a crime, right? But they needed to axe everything that could even remotely somewhat be viewed as part of his official actions, which is why him telling the DOJ literally anything, they're like, sorry, he's allowed to do it. So in theory, I know this sounds extreme, but bear with me, right? In theory, he can direct the Department of Justice. He could say, Bill Barr, I need you to have this guy murdered for me. And according to John Roberts, he would say, look, if he's telling his Department of Justice anything, that is his Department of Justice, he has every right to do that. Even if he's very clearly saying, we want you to break this law. So, guys, this is insane. But look, I told you at the time in my initial coverage of the Supreme Court decision, it's a horrible decision, but I still think there are ways that Jack Smith can weave a case to say, even given the broad leeway you gave Trump, he crossed the line. And that's what we're looking at here. So somebody who was a Trump staffer at one point went on CNN after this and said he's looking at 6 to 9 years. Now, of course, the only problem is the timeline of the case, right? If Trump ends up winning the election, then this stuff is on hold and maybe done so, right? But if he loses the election, then he's really looking at, he could go down over stuff like this. If he loses the election, he might very well end up in jail, right? I need everybody to understand that. And so in a sense, he's fighting for his life, not just from a political perspective, but from a literal, like, I will be behind bars perspective. And so, look, I think Jack Smith is a very serious prosecutor. I read the initial indictments when they dropped. I thought he made an ironclad case. And a lot of those charges still stand. A lot of those charges still stand. Charges like conspiracy against rights, because you're trying to throw out all these votes of the American people. I think he could still make an ironclad case, and I think even given the constraints of the Supreme Court, it's very possible he can get some victories. But again, the timeline is the biggest thing, because they've gummed up the works. They've made it so that the cases are pushed further back, and what Trump is banking on is winning the election. That's a fact. Now, I still got a lot more to show you. There's a lot of Trump news today, so look at this. This was like the day before the new indictments came down. This is how Trump is spending his time. Look at this.
This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, with some very exciting news. By popular demand, I'm doing a new series of Trump digital trading cards. You all know what they are. We've had a lot of fun with them. It's called the America First Collection. 50 all-new stunning digital trading cards. It's really something. These cards...
So the digital trading cards are NFTs. That's what they're NFTs. Now, he's also going to have, like, physical trading cards as well. Watch. This is unbelievable. This guy's running for president.
Show me dancing and even me holding some Bitcoins. Here's the best part. I'm doing great things for my Trump digital card collectors. First, there's the real physical Trump cards. Purchase 15 or more of my Trump digital trading cards and we'll mail you a beautiful physical trading card. It's really, I think, quite something. Each physical trading card has an authentic piece of my suit that I wore for the presidential debate, and people are calling it the knockout suit. I don't know about that, but that's what they're calling it. So we'll cut up the knockout suit and you're going to get a piece of it, and we'll be randomly autographing 5 of them, a true collector's item. This is something to give your family, your kids, your grandchildren. Number 2 is to purchase 75 of my Trump digital trading cards, and you will also be invited to join me for a gala dinner at my beautiful country club in Jupiter, Florida. We really have tremendous dinners with my collectors. Have a lot of fun together. We're gonna have a good time. I'm keeping my Trump digital trading cards at the same price of $99 each. We've done that right from the beginning. So go to collecttrumpcards.com. It's really easy to buy. You just need an email address and a credit card or crypto. You know, they call me the crypto president. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people are saying that. So don't miss out. Go to collecttrumpcards.com. Go right now and collect your piece of American history. Let's have fun together and enjoy my Trump cards. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We'll be talking about it for a long time. Thank you very much. Have a good time.
Imagine Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama did something like this when they were running for office. He's hawking NFTs and trading cards And now he's getting involved in some crypto shit as well. Of course, NFT and crypto is like tied at the hip, but he's getting involved in some crypto shit as well. Just give me a couple $1,000. Give me thousands of dollars and we'll make it. We're here. Take this fucking shitty car that cost 17 cents to make. Take it. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, he's just such a fucking con artist, right? And also, you can't just be profiting off shit when you're running for president. Right? You can't just be doing this. That's insane. I told you guys, he also has a deal with the government of Oman in the works right now. I don't know if it's a casino or a hotel. It's something. And he's taking a tremendous amount of money from the government of Oman. He's also taking tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions from the government of Saudi Arabia because he's hosting these Live Golf League events at his courses. And they're just throwing money at him. This is pay to play, bro. And this is what he's got for the peasants, right? This is what just fucking buy this shitty thing we slapped together. Give me money. Gimme. Again, imagine any Democrat did this. Everybody on the right would be screaming bloody murder. Like, he is a cheap fucking con artist, infomercial salesman still to this day. And this is what everybody knows his record. Everybody knows Trump University was a fraud. Everybody knows he was just found liable in New York for business fraud and tax fraud and insurance fraud. Everybody knows he went bankrupt 6 times. And by the way, he stiffed his workers a lot. And by the way, he would construct deals where the workers got screwed over and he would get to run out the back door with all the money. This is who this guy is. All right, but I'm not even done yet. So we also get this story came out the other day. General McMaster, who was in Trump's administration. Now, look, to be clear, this guy was definitely a neocon. He still is a neocon. I'm against this guy. But what I want to share with you is just his behind-the-scenes stories with Trump, stuff that Trump said directly to him, because this stuff is incredible. Listen to this. Until now, Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster has held his fire about his stint in the Trump White House. McMaster served with distinction in key American conflicts of the past decades: Gulf War, Iraq War, war in Afghanistan, blah, 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 blah. In his blistering, insightful account of his time in the Trump White House, McMaster describes meeting in the Oval Office as, quote, exercises in competitive sycophancy, during which Trump's advisors would flatter the president by saying stuff like, your instincts are always right, or no one has ever been treated so badly by the press. Meanwhile, Trump would say outlandish things, quote, outlandish things. Quote, this is from Trump. Why don't we just bomb the drugs in Mexico? Or, quote, why don't we take out the whole North Korean army during one of their parades? What? McMaster's book, which focuses on Trump's tenure as commander-in-chief, comes at a particularly timely moment, just as many Americans start to really consider whether Trump or Vice President Kamala Harris would make a better commander-in-chief. I gotta be honest with you guys, man, that's like a 70 IQ-ass comment. Why don't we just bomb the drugs, or why don't we just take out the whole North Korean army during one of their parades? This is right up there with his, why don't we just nuke the hurricanes? Why don't we just nuke it? The guy's a fucking idiot. Now, by the way, just to prove my hatred for General H.R. McMaster, he goes on to say, that doesn't mean there weren't times Trump was right. Like, for example, when he bombed Syria. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So we have the intelligent, dead-eyed psychopaths steering the administration in a neocon direction, right? Giving him credit every time he blows some shit up and starts a new war. And we have Trump having the IQ of a fucking mosquito, asking the dumbest questions you've ever heard behind closed doors. I'm still not done. I got so much. So, so Trump sat down for another interview with Dr. Phil, and I can't play the video for you. One of them has some music in the background that they would definitely copyright strike us for, and I think Phil might be a copyright shark anyway, but doesn't matter. We have the quotes. So in this clip, Trump says very clearly, if Jesus came down and was the vote counter, I would win California. I would win California. We know that I always win it. If Jesus came down and counted the votes, I would win California. This is like the other day when he said in the rally, oh, I won Minnesota last time. He lost Minnesota by 7 points. And he's saying, I'm going to win it this time too. And by the way, of course, when he doesn't, he's going to say, stolen, rigged. This is crazy. All right, I got more. Trump says that God saved him from assassination because our country is being destroyed and God wants him to save it. He literally does the I'm the anointed one. I'm the Holy One. God has chosen me to deliver our destiny. He's doing the psycho-religious talk now. He's doing the Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee talk now. For all you younger listeners, you won't know, but back in the day, Rick Santorum ran for president, Mike Huckabee ran for president, and they also very famously said at different times, God has chosen me. Michelle Bachmann, I think, said it too. Now he's doing the psycho-religious shit. God chose you? Oh my God. Finally, I'm going to end on this with the Trump stuff. So the other day, Trump comes out, and he's basically indicating that he's going to chicken out of the debate with Kamala Harris. I watched ABC Fake News this morning. Both lightweight reporter Jonathan Caro's ridiculous and biased interview of Tom Cotton, who was fantastic, and their so-called panel. By the way, Tom Cotton is the biggest fucking neocon warmonger in the country. So if you love Tom Cotton, you love war. But I digress. And their so-called panel of Trump haters. And I ask, why would I do the debate against Kamala Harris on that network? Will panelist Donna Brazile give the questions to the Marxist candidate like she did for crooked Hillary Clinton? Will Kamala's best friend, who heads up ABC, do likewise? Where is little George Slopadopoulos hanging out now? Will he be involved? They've got a lot of questions to answer. Why did Harris turn down Fox, NBC, CBS, and even CNN? Stay tuned. So here he was indicating, I'm not going to do the fucking debate. I'm not going to do the debate. Now, apparently what we've learned since then is the Trump team and the Kamala team were engaged in negotiations behind the scenes where they were trying to tweak the rules. So Kamala's side said, we want the mics unmuted. And the reason they said that is because they realized, hey, when the mics were muted, it helped Trump over Biden. We want to give Trump the opportunity to be a prick and to cut off Kamala as much as possible because he'll look like an unhinged asshole, and that will help Kamala. So Team Kamala was saying, unmute the mics. And Team Trump, listen to this. This is great. Team Trump, his staffers were saying, nope, the mics need to be muted. The mics need to be, we're not doing the debate unless the mics are muted. Trump comes out after this in an interview and he's asked, hey, do you care if the mics are muted or not? And he goes, oh, I don't care. I'd rather prefer them be unmuted, but I really don't care. So in other words, Trump staffers, they're the smart ones who are like, oh my God, it helps Trump massively if the mics are muted because he can't shut the fuck up if they're unmuted. And so it'll help him to have the mics muted. And so his staffers were pushing for this rule without even consulting Trump because they know his dumbass would be like, yeah, unmute him. And that would hurt him. And his staffers were like, don't even tell him, but we're going to fight for the mics to be muted. Wow. So eventually they ended up agreeing. And the rules are going to be, I think, the exact same as the CNN debate that just happened between Trump and Biden. So the mics will be muted. Now, I'm sure Kamala's team is not very happy about that. But honestly, look, my prediction right now for the debate is Kamala's going to give the Democrats what they want to hear, and the Democrats are going to say Kamala won. And Trump is going to give the Republicans what they want to hear, and the Republicans are going to say Trump won. And it's going to basically be a wash. That's my prediction as of right now. But look, I think there's a reason why he has continued to back out of the debate and then maybe get back in, but then back out again and then get back in. Honestly, I think he's a little shook. And look, don't get me wrong. There were moments in 2020 where Kamala was running in the primary where she did very poorly on that debate stage, right? But there were also moments where she did great. So, for example, the very first debate, according to the polls, she won. According to the media, she won that very first debate. That was her best performance. But then when she was picked for VP in the debates with Mike Pence, she did a perfectly solid job. And in fact, again, I think he kind of knows that. Debating Biden is like debating somebody with a handicap at this point, right? It's like you're in a fight and one of the guys has one arm tied behind his back, or maybe even two. That's what it was like debating Biden. He knows that. And so he knows, well, Kamala doesn't have those issues, and I think he's scared. And just to show you what she is capable of, this was when she was debating Mike Pence. Let's take a look.
Senator Harris.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is, Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year.
Total bullshit. 83% of the benefits of that tax cut went to the top 1%, and it also incentivized outsourcing, which is the exact opposite of what Trump said he would do on the campaign trail. He said he would keep the American jobs here. He didn't. He incentivized outsourcing, and we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. I love the I'm speaking thing. When she points it in the proper direction, I love it. When she's using it against fucking pro-Palestine protesters, I'm furious. But when she does it to Mike Pence's smug ass, I love it.
That is absolutely not true.
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay.
It's like dealing with an unruly child. Like she's a teacher and this is an unruly child and she's just like, we're going to calm down now, okay?
Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. Joe Biden is the one who, during the Great Recession, was responsible for the Recovery Act that brought America back. And now the Trump-Pence administration wants to take credit when they rode the coattails of Joe Biden's success for the economy that they had at the beginning of their term. Of course, now the economy is a complete disaster. But Joe Biden, on the one hand, did that. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who has reigned over a recession that is being compared to the Great Depression. On the one hand, you have Joe Biden, who was responsible with President Barack Obama for the Affordable Care Act, which brought health care to over 20 million Americans and protected people with pre-existing conditions. And what it also did is it saved those families who otherwise were going bankrupt because of hospital bills they could not afford. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump, who's in court right now, trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which means that you will lose protections if you have pre-existing conditions. And this is very important, Susan.
Yes,
and it's
we need to give Vice President.
He interrupted me, and I'd like to just finish, please. If you have a pre-existing condition, heart disease, diabetes, breast cancer, they're coming for you. If you love someone who has a pre-existing condition, they're coming for you. If you are under the age of 26 on your parents' coverage, they're coming for you.
I think he's scared. I think he's genuinely scared, and that's why he's been, oh, I'm not going to do it. All right, maybe I'll do it. I'm not going to do it. All right, maybe I'll do it. All right, we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.